We took a quick trip down to Slade, Kentucky to hit a little section of the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway and test out some new vehicle modifications that we had done. Andrew helped me build a winch bumper for the front of my car, and he made some modifications to his vehicle as well, including a auxiliary power system, a diesel heater which kept him nice and toasty, and onboard air for airing up tires and running air tools. He was nice and warm because he had a thermostat controlling his diesel heater. I had a electric heating pad that tapped into 12 volts where the rear dome light system was. There was a little rheostat on that little circuit board you saw, and I could adjust the heat. At full power it draws about an amp, which is only 12 watts of heat, though it is injected directly against your skin, so it is significant. Half power was actually where I slept the best, which is pretty amazing. Of course the battery fired up because that was less load than leaving a single dome light on in your vehicle overnight. Spas Creek, what we're doing on this section here, mostly driving up a creek. The trail goes on and off the creek. There's some fun articulation sections like this one. You can see a big wheel drop here in the back. X mode kicks in, applies some braking force there, sends torque to the other side. Pretty decent articulation here out of the Subaru. The next section I thought was going to be really challenging. I got Andrew to spot for me. I was very pleasantly surprised by the new capabilities afforded by the winch bumper with the improved ground clearance and approach angle. Andrew's rig weighs more than twice as much, probably about 8,000 pounds fully loaded. It rolls over everything like it's just a speed bump. Huge engine in there, V10, low range of course, so this thing just kind of idles through all the obstacles in its path. It doesn't have to worry about getting flooded either because the air intake's like 5 feet off the ground. The Subaru does have to worry about that, so if it's going to be particularly deep, we'll send the Excursion first, just to check the depth. And ironically, the top of his wheels is about the limit of the depth that the Forester can handle. I tried to put two wheels over in the dry section and get fancy here. Changed my mind, went back in at a weird angle and banged the skid plate and bumper on what I think is a rock in there. A little scratch in the paint afterwards. I just touched it up with some black spray paint to keep it from rusting. But that thing definitely did its job. With no protection at all, that would have probably gone straight into the oil pan, and there would have been some black in there with that brown. And it would have been a very bad day. There you can see the Excursion stepping over whatever was in there. I don't know, rock or a tree or what. A bit of a hazard. Definitely don't want to plow through these mud holes without checking to see if they're clear first. So here's a cool shot of the underside of the cars. Fully independent suspension, so I don't have any diffs hanging down in the middle. Pretty much smoothed down. There you can see Andrew's rear diff and front diff. Solid axles front and back, leaf springs front and back. Very different vehicles. So it's kind of neat to see how they approach obstacles. You can see wheel drop in the front, and X-Mode has to kick in a little bit because the back left tire was also in the air. But it does, and it gets me forward pretty smoothly and gently. And then that brings me to another diagonal section. You can see big compression in that front tire. And I just creep forward slowly, just putting a little bit of throttle on and holding it long enough for X-Mode to figure out what it needs to do to keep the car moving, and it does. The exit of this creek was gnarly. I really wish that would have had a camera there. Andrew's long wheelbase kind of forced him into a big front wheel lift as he climbed out. I think it was about the only time that he had to use significant throttle. Much more than you'll see him use here in this clip. This was the exit of Spas Creek, pretty much the last obstacle until you're back out onto a little section of paved road before Pumpkin Hollow. Muddy section, I was able to go up the right side because my car is a lot smaller, but he was forced right up the middle. Tricky section here because he's pretty much blind. Big hood, and so he just has to slowly creep forward and let that 2.5 feet of ground clearance take care of everything. big drop though. That vehicle makes it look small, but that'd have been a doozy for the Forester. Probably the second and only time he had to use any real throttle to get past something. This was a really muddy section earlier. Kind of neat to see the Subaru all-wheel drive system fight through all that mud. Thanks for watching.